Hi everyone, Kaye here. Today we're going to see some conditional formatting tricks by Pragati Jain, who is from Avanade in the UK. Some amazing tricks and also a great tool from Greg Deckler from VP of Fusion Alliance. And as well, join us to see how you can win some great giveaways, all starting now with the Power BI Community Show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where your time zone is. Welcome to the Power BI Community Show, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kaye, and I'm the Community Engagement Lead for Power BI. I work as part of the larger community success team with Heather Newman. Heather Newman's my manager. She owns all of the community success for all of our Power Platform and Dynamics 365 products. I'll be hosting the Power BI Community Show streamed live on the YouTube channel that you're watching now, as well as seeing it after on YouTube and on the Power BI community at community.powerbi.com. My Twitter handle is at ms_KellyK. You can access this show again after the broadcast in our webinar gallery. Let's start with explaining what's a Power BI Community Show. The Power BI Community Show is where everyone who loves Power BI, joins us and talks about everything, all things Power BI. It's produced by our amazing producer, Daniel Zana. Daniel, say hi.
Hi, Kelly. Good morning.
Hi, Daniel. Hi. And also Heather Hernandez, our fantastic Power BI community manager, who's on standby to answer all of your Power BI community questions during and after today's episode. Every couple of weeks, we'll have some short segments ranging from what's up in Power BI, some demos, some interviews with Microsoft Power BI product teams and engineers. And also we'll be giving away some stuff. So stick with us. And you'll see a lot of opportunities for you to engage and also win some great giveaways. Okay, excuse me. So let's kick this off today with our amazing Microsoft Data Platform MVP, Pragati Jain from the United Kingdom. Pragati is with Avanade. She's also a super user, so she does a ton. How are you, Pragati? Welcome.
Hey, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here on your Power BI show. I'm doing great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm super, super, super looking forward to all of your demos. And I think it's five tips and tricks, right, on conditional formatting. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see some nice conditional formatting tricks in Power BI. So just add a bit of visual element to your visuals, basic visuals. So yeah.
And what prompted you to do this? Like, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you think these tips and tricks on conditional formatting are important.
So yeah, I think most of you already know me. My name is Pragati Jain, and as Kelly introduced, I'm a data platform MVP and also a super user at Power BI community. So my passion for Power BI, I think you guys can see that on the community a lot, because I really love Power BI and doing all the different kinds of tips and tricks, and that can really help you bring your reports to a different level. And especially, regarding today's session, conditional formatting, that's like one of the best part I use in Power BI in my day-to-day reports, because it just adds other different level of element to your visuals. I mean, you can just use the in-house Power BI visuals, but adding conditional formatting just, adds that extra bit of insight on top of your visuals. So that's why I just love them.
That's fantastic. There's so many community members who are really wanting to learn more about conditional formatting. I'm so excited about your demos. So how about I step out of the way right now and have you do your demos? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, Kelly.
That'd
Thank
be great.
you. Okay.
And Pragati, for those, as you're getting set up, for those of you who don't know, Pragati, what is your Twitter handle and how can people get hold of you?
Yeah, so my Twitter handle is Pragati1187. So and the same is for the LinkedIn as well. So if anyone, if you just have that one, so you can just connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn easily.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope everyone can see my screen. So as Kelly said, there will be like 5 to 6 quick tricks in 5 or 6 minutes. So let's start with the first one. So just a basic background. So conditional formatting is something that can, really help to add a top level bit to your basic visual. So if you're trying to represent some numbers or you try to represent some kind of, regional information, and if you add additional colors that add something to your insights, then that is how you can use conditional formatting to do that. So for example, consider this first scenario where I have got a simple matrix visual, and what it's doing is it's just showing me CO2 emissions over time for a few countries, and I've got the data since 2001 to 2020. Now, this matrix looks very plain, right? You can see the numbers, okay, China, how China is doing, how US is doing, how India is doing, and so on. But suppose if I want to add an element to this simple matrix visual so that when the user just sees it at the first time, then gets the insight out of it without just reading those numbers. So let's see how we do that. Now, to show that, the first thing I'll do is I'll just copy this existing matrix visual here, because the reason for doing that is once I apply conditional formatting to this visual at the bottom, we'll just try to understand what's the difference between these two and does that really help? I mean, adding that conditional formatting. So we'll start with the basic conditional formatting here. So what I'll try to do is I'll just try to add some background colors to my values here based on how the emissions have been. So for example, if my emissions are higher, and if I think logically, a high emission means something wrong is happening. So we'll try to represent it with some red kind of color. And if the emissions is lower, then it's a good news that that country is not having that level of CO2 emission. So that's kind of a good thing. So we'll try to indicate it using standard green color. So let's see how that works. So just click on your matrix visual, go to formatting option, and under formatting option, there's something called conditional formatting. Now, obviously, I want to give my conditional formatting to the total CO2 emission values that I've represented on this matrix. And I'll start with the background color first, and then there is an additional trick behind this matrix. So I'll add that too. So I'll start with background color formatting. Now, once I toggle that, Power BI just gives by itself a gradient color kind of background formatting to my values. But let's see if I tweak it a bit by using some standard colors, then how that looks. So I go to my advanced control windows and I can see this new window just pops up here. Okay, so Power BI has done a good kind of thing, but the only problem for me is the colors, like light blue to the darker blue shade. Now let's see if I change these colors. So I've already got hex codes for my colors here copied, but yeah, you can get them online, the standard green and red color hex codes, because Power BI uses those hex codes to understand the colors. So what I'll do is, obviously the lowest value for me, if the total emissions are low, then they're a good thing for us. So I'll represent them using a green color. So I'll go to more colors and just replace that hex code for the green color here. So that's my lowest color. And obviously a higher CO2 emission is a bad news for us. So I'll try to represent it with a red color. So I'll go to this and again replace my hex code and do that and hit OK. Now let's see how that changes things differently. Now, first thing, using standard colors in your conditional formatting doesn't allow additional thought process from user point of view, because they know, okay, when you use standard colors, red is bad, green is good. But when you're trying to represent certain data where these colors are reversed, so in this case, CO2 emissions is higher, which is bad. So that's why it is represented as red. And if the CO2 emission is lower, then it is represented by green. So that's how that reverse of colors works here. But using of standard colors is very well understood and taken by any user who's viewing your report. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you as my first trick. So you can see the difference. These were just plain numbers. But when we added those colors, it adds additional insight to your numbers. So those plain numbers are now highlighted in a better way for user to consume that information. Now let's add another trick to this existing matrix. So what I'll do, I'll copy this, take it on my next page, report page, put it here. And again, I'll make a copy of it to see the difference from the add-on tip that we're going to do. Now, suppose you have, now you can see there are so much here going on. There are so many big numbers going on. And especially when you have reports where you have got so much information using those numbers, sometimes it's just good to remove those numbers and just represent information visually rather than showing those numbers to the users. So what we'll do is we'll try to hide these numbers in this matrix visual and bring out a heat map kind of visual within this matrix visual. And let's see how we do that. So again, we'll click on the visual, go to formatting options. Again, I'll go to conditional formatting. Now, one good thing about conditional formatting is on a single column or metric, that whatever you are using in your visual, you can apply different type of conditional formatting. So as you know, there's already a background color formatting going on here. But now what I'll do is I'll play around with font color formatting to hide those numbers and show a heat map kind of representation here. So for that, I'll switch on my font color formatting. Okay, Power BI did something on its own, but this is not what I'm looking for. So I go to advanced control, a new window opens. Now again, we'll use the same color formatting with the same colors because we want to hide those numbers and just represent information using the visual aspect of the visual. So what I'll do, again, go there. My lower value is good one, so I'll represent it using my green color hex code. And my higher value is a bad information for me. So I'll represent it again with the same color code, which I used earlier for red. Okay, and I'll just hit OK. Now you see those numbers have just disappeared, and I just end up with a heat map kind of visual here. Obviously, you can use a heat map visual, which is already there in Power BI, but sometimes if you want to represent this information within a matrix, then this is the key to do it. I mean, just use some tips and tricks around conditional formatting and you get heat map visual there. So here now users don't have to go and read those numbers because you are already representing that information saying, okay, China started with a good one in 2001, but over time it has just turned bad till 2019. And obviously in 2020, they're trying to take some measures, so it is going little down. Similarly, you can see for US how they have been over time. So that kind of information is really helpful rather than just giving so many numbers to the user and confusing them. Just give them these kind of visual elements. So yeah, that was a second trick for the day. Let's go to the third trick. Now, the third trick is very easy now. This is a map visual in Power BI, where if I hover over, I can see, okay, I have represented different country and showing their total CO2 emission. Okay, the user goes there, user can hover and see, okay, what kind of total emissions have been. But what if I want to give user, when they land on this page, see the map visual, and just by seeing, they get the insight out of it rather than, just hovering over it and getting to know what that total CO2 emission by different region is. So how we can do is, again, conditional formatting comes to rescue here. So what I'll do is, again, I'll copy this visual so that we see the difference what conditional formatting makes. Go to that visual, again, go to my formatting options, go to data colors. Now, again, I'll try to represent the information in the same way. I want to give conditional formatting based on my total CO2 emission. That's my measure. And again, my lower value is a indicator of good thing. So I'll go on the green side. And my higher value is indicating something bad is happening. So I'll stick with the red color and just hit OK. Now, if you see that, if you compare the left visual and right visual, on the right visual, there is an additional insight added by the colors you have used. So any region which is more towards the green color, it shows, okay, their CO2 emission is in control as compared to the other countries which are shown as red, like for example United States. So it kind of, user not have to always go and hover over your chart to get an insight. Sometimes they just open and land to this page, and they just see the information. Okay, which countries are doing bad and which countries are doing good. So that's another quick trick for today. Let's go to the next trick. Okay, this is something very similar to what we did previously, but this is like on a different chart. Now this is a scatter plot chart. What I'm doing here is I'm just trying to represent information for total CO2 emissions for all the countries for year 2020 versus 2019. Okay, so now this scatter chart turns out to be good because it kind of tells me the comparison between both the years for all the countries, how the emissions have been. And the sizes are based on the total overall emissions they have done over time. But what if I want to give the similar kind of, color combination here by just telling which country is doing good and which country is doing bad? So what we can do is, again, just copy the chart, go to the formatting options. We go with the same rules here again, data colors, because we want to format them. And again, now what I'll do is I want to, color code this scatter plot points based on the total CO2 emission. You can use any metric, like for example, if there's a requirement to show it based on 2020 numbers or 2019 numbers, you can do that as well. But I'll go with the total CO2 emissions. And let's see. Again, we'll give the same color combinations. Lower is a good news, so I'll go with the green color. Higher is a bad news for me, so I'll go with the red color. And hit OK. So this suddenly tells me, and a legend, which is like a really good thing. So when you start applying now conditional formatting to your scatter plot chart, now a legend gets added by itself at the top, and which kind of tells you like the minimum and maximum value and how the colors have been for these data points. So you can clearly see the difference, like just having a single color here doesn't add that bit of information, but adding those additional colors to your chart will just add a top insight to your chart. So that was the fourth trick for today. Let's now go to the fifth trick. Now the fifth trick here is, this is a basic chart where I've just represented a positive and negative percentage change. And suppose if you really want to show positive change as green and negative change as red. So how do you do that? You can do it by multiple ways, but the way what I will show you is just creating a custom measure for your own. So let me first copy this visual so we see the change. And what I'll do is I'll show you the measure I created. So I created a growth rate column measure, and that column measure is based on my percentage change. Now, in this case, obviously, if my CO2 emissions have grown over time, then it's a bad indicator. And if it has not grown over time and it has gone down, then it is a good indicator. So what I did was I just created a measure based on my percentage change. And if it is greater than equal to 0, I give it as red. And if it is less than equal to 0, I just show it as green. And that measure I'll use here in this chart to turn my positive and negative bars here. So I'm in percentage bars by two different colors. So I'll go to my visual again, go to format option, go to data colors, again, click on the FX icon. Now, in this case, I'm going to use my measure. So for that, you need to use the field value option. And the measure here for me is growth rate color. So that's what I do that. And if I hit OK, I can clearly see that difference. Now this chart just turned, again, your information into an additional insight, because it tells you like over time when my growth rate has gone up, it is bad indicator. So that's why I'm showing them as red bars. And when it has gone down, it is a good indicator. So I'm showing them as green bars. So that's the additional thing you can add with your bars using the measures, of course. And there could be different ways of writing your own rules as well. So that can be also done. But this was the way I wanted to show you I generally use. As we have quick few seconds, let me show you the last trick. Now the last trick here, what it is, like what I have done is I've got a simple table visual, you can see. And what this visual has got is it just shows like total CO2 emissions for every country. And I've got a comparison between 2019 and 2018 numbers and just showed them by some icons there. Like if my CO2 emission in 2019 has gone up when compared to 2018, it shows an up arrow. And if it has gone down, it shows a down arrow. But now, currently, these are unique characters which I have used in one of the measure. But if I want to add color to these characters, like unique characters, like if it has gone up, I want to show it as red, which is bad, right? And if it has gone down, I want to show it as green. So how we can do that? Again, simply you can create a measure for this. So I created a measure for this, which is, one second. So this is 2019 versus 2018 color indicator. So what I did was I first created a measure which kind of tells me difference between my 2019 and 2018 numbers. And then I created another measure on top of it. Like if my 2019 versus 2018 number is less than 0, which has gone down, then give it a green color. Otherwise, give it a red color. And then again, what we can do is in this table visual, obviously this is a column or it's like represented as a column, right? So we want to give some kind of formatting to the values. So what we'll do is we'll go to formatting option, again, go to conditional formatting. And in this case, I want to apply conditional formatting to my 2019 versus 2018 value, right? And I want to give a font color formatting because I want to give a different colors to the icons or unique characters that I'm representing here. So I'll go to the font color. Again, now in this case, I've already created a measure, right? So I'll go and use my field value there and use my indicator measure, what I created, and just click OK. So you can see like if it has gone up, it shows like a red icon. If it has gone down, it shows like a green icon when we compare numbers for 2019 and 2018 for every country. So that's like, I think the quick tricks I really wanted to show you and hope you guys enjoyed them because I would just love to hear more about it, like what tricks you guys use, because these are the kind of tricks I use in day-to-day, whenever I'm working with Power BI reports, because these just add some additional insight and information for me, which, like in most of the cases, I don't have to basically explain it to the users because they just see the report and they just understand things when I add these color coordinations within my existing charts. So yeah, that's for today, guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Pragati, for joining us today and showing us some great tips on how we can make our reports a little bit more meaningful and insightful without having to kind of dig into the data. We can automatically see what's going on because of that conditional formatting. Thank you so much. And, feel free to stick around. We'll be here.
Yeah, definitely, I'm here.
And for everyone, if you want to contact Pragati, remember LinkedIn and Twitter is exactly the same. And Pragati, tell us again, it is Pragati Jain.
Pragati Jain, 1187. And my Twitter is Pragati1187. Yeah, so that's me.
Fantastic. Thank you again. And so next up we have Greg Deckler. But before we go to Greg, I'm going to ask a question. Do you Power BI? I'm Kaye and I Power BI. We'd love for you to see a short video that the community has put together about I Power BI, which highlights a different type of person, every type of person. Anyone can Power BI. Now, if you send us a short video, or send me a short video through, Daniel, it's at ms_KellyK on Twitter. We'll be picking a few people, we'll be selecting a few people to give some great Power BI giveaways away. And also, you might get a chance to be featured in one of these videos that'll be coming up in maybe some future events. We'll see. But here's this great video now. Let us know what you think about it.
I'm Matangi Ramanathan, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Kelly Brookstra, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Melissa Coates, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Dr. Georgette Fraser-Moore, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Amanda Rivera, and I Power BI.
I'm Emma Adams, and I Power BI.
Heidi Hastings, and I Power BI.
I'm Jonathan Lightfoot, and I Power BI.
Hello, I'm Lucrecia Krause, and I Power BI.
I'm Deborah Jones, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Rupali Jain, and I Power BI.
My name's Dan Ray, and I Power BI.
Hello, I'm Ana Maria Bispe York, and I Power BI.
I'm Belinda Allen, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Jackie, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Soumya Soni, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Greg Deckler, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Janessa, and I Power BI.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I Power BI.
I am Zanisha, and I Power BI.
I'm Leila Atati from Radhakat in New Zealand, and I Power BI.
I am Indira Bandari, I Power BI.
I'm Neha Bandari, I Power BI.
And I Power BI too.
Always my favorite to see the community, but especially the last video, which is I Power BI too. Okay, everyone. So send us in your video. Put it into Twitter, and it's your name. Don't even have to put your name in, and just say I Power BI. We have 20 items of giveaways ranging from socks and a Power BI lanyard to maybe a couple of other things as well. So if you want to be in the running, send us a video and we'll let you know at the end of this week who has been selected. Also, let us know if you're interested in being featured in one of these videos. And with that video, I seem to have noticed Greg Deckler in that video. Apparently, Greg Deckler, you Power BI.
Word on the street is that's the case, yes. Hey, Kelly.
That's awesome. Hi, Greg. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. It's a great show.
Oh, thank you. No, you make it great. You, the community, everybody else makes it great. We're just here to present all of the wonderful things that everybody does. So thank you again for joining us today. For those of you who don't know, Greg Deckler is the VP of Fusion Alliance. He's a Microsoft Data Platform MVP and also a super user.
I got my super user shirt on.
Correct. And also a celebrated published author, and you've just published your new book. I think it's the How to Learn Power BI.
Yeah, yep, Learn Power BI. It's the second edition of this book. So it just came out on February 18th.
Awesome. Fantastic. And today, what are you going to show? Well, you can tell us a bit about yourself if you'd like.
I'll tell you a little bit about the book. Yeah. I mean, there's a couple fun facts people may not know. Literally the day that it was being released, I was actually still updating the book to include your guys' new format pane. So the book is as up to date as humanly possible. That's the bottom line on that. And for people that have asked this question over the years, it's actually a real world scenario that's covered in the book in terms of building a utilization report. It actually follows basically the utilization report that I and the real life Pam Hagley built for Fusion Alliance. So I've worked with Pam for 10 years. So yes, there is a real life Pam. And that's kind of she's the protagonist of this book, and you follow her story as she learns Power BI. So, and she makes mistakes, just like everybody that learns Power BI makes mistakes, and you see how she corrects those. So I think it was a really cool book to put together. Enjoyed it a lot.
Fantastic. I can't wait to read it. Actually, since you have a book here, why don't we give away one of your books? What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, I'll give away one of your books to somebody who is commenting today on the YouTube channel. So if you're going to comment about Greg Deckler's demo here coming up, you will be randomly selected. I have to be careful with my words here. You'll be randomly selected to get one of those books.
Well, the comments are going to really start coming in now.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the demo you're going to do today.
So I'm going to be demoing just real quickly 3 tools. So I suddenly got on this kick of creating these external tools for Power BI. And I'm going to be showing, I partnered up with Enterprise DNA to release kind of pro versions of the tools. And those are available for Enterprise DNA subscribers. But there are also free versions of the tools available as well out on my GitHub page. So you can just go out to GitHub, I think it's /Greg Deckler, and you'll find the repository there. And you can download the free version of these external tools that allow you to kind of take the quick measure experience from Power BI, kind of puts it on steroids. And then there's two tools, Power Sort and Metadata Mechanic, which will really kind of step up your ability to mass edit metadata for like measures and columns and tables.
That's fantastic. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. So with that, let's not make everybody else wait. And remember, comment about Greg Deckler's demo here, and you could be selected to get one of his books. So Greg, take us away.
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, I have the external toolbar located up here, and these are the pro version of the tools from Enterprise DNA, and over here are the free versions, Metadata Mechanic, Power Sort, and the lovely name Mushkookum, which is Quick Measures Pro. So, here's Quick Measures Pro. So Quick Measures Pro, again, was really set up to kind of take the quick measure experience for Power BI kind of to the next level. And so as you can see, instead of like the 30 or so quick measures that are available in Power BI, I've got about 200. There's over 200 quick measures. So a lot of data intelligence functions. I went on a kick where I tried to recreate every Excel function in DAX. So a lot of those are in there. You know, your filter functions, math functions, lookup functions. And then the other category kind of contains a lot of my favorites like Cthulhu and some looping functions and the mythical DAX index. So I'll just demo real quick a couple of these. First one I'll do, one of my favorites is sequential. So you can pick the quick measure that you want over here in the left-hand nav, and then you configure it. And it's very similar to like what you do in Power BI quick measures, right? I can pick an aggregation. I need a year column. So I'll choose my year column for my calendar table, and then I'll choose my week number column. Then all I have to do is hit DAX. Oh, actually, I want this to be a column, actually. So what sequential is going to do it's going to, and I'll show you the notes, it's going to create a sequential week number spanning multiple years. So this makes week over week calculations really easy, right? If I want to compare this week with the previous week, all I have to do is subtract 1 in all cases, right? So as you can see here, I'm going to create this in the calendar table. It's going to be of type of column, and here's the DAX for it, and we'll just make this, it tries to guess, you know, names that you're going to want for your columns. Sometimes it does a good job. And all I have to do then is hit create here. It says it created it correctly in. Now, technically, adding columns is not technically supported. I was told by the Power BI development team, but it does work, right? So here's my sequential week column. And if I go over here and take a look at it in my calendar table, you can see it starts with week 1. It counts up until the end of the year. It gets to 52 and just keeps right on going sequentially, numbering the week. So that's that in terms of creating a calendar and a sequential week number as a column. The one I'll show you is one of my favorite ones, and I think, and Kelly, you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she still works at Microsoft. Chelsea Iden, right?
I'm not allowed to give away any private information on anybody working there.
Fair enough. Well, I do know that there's a blog article by Chelsea Iden. When she was an intern, she created custom format strings, which are a great addition. They solved a long-standing problem where you're trying to display durations in a column chart or a bar chart and have them actually like show up as HH:MM:SS, whereas before you'd use format and turn it into text. It was a real pain. It was actually one of the, I talked about this issue with lots of people from Microsoft for probably 4 years. And so I was super excited when Chelsea solved this problem. So here again, I can choose a column. In this case, I go down here to my duration that I have, click OK. I say my duration is in seconds, and then I can generate the DAX for it. And this time I want to measure. So I generate the DAX, and here it is. And as you can see here, there's a custom format string. And I can also, what's really cool about this is I can choose to create this. And this is kind of an improvement over Power BI, right? I have the metadata for this measure. I can edit and put in the display folder for it, just, right as I create the measure. And I'll be adding like description and some other metadata to this as well. So again, I can hit create here. It says it was created successfully. And all I have to do is go over here to durations. And there's my folder 1, there's my folder 2, and there's my Chelsea Iden's duration measure. That easy. So basically what Quick Measures Pro does is it tries to make the editing experience, as quick and painless as possible for creating some sophisticated DAX measures. And as this tool goes forward, this is the Telerik control for syntax editor. So I'll be adding hopefully all of the custom formatting and that you find, for commenting and, turning that green and all of that sort of stuff. I'm going to add all of that into the tool. So this becomes a first-rate editing experience for DAX. And, basically you could use this as your primary measure creation tool, because once you have this screen displayed, you can just start replacing this with whatever your DAX measure code is, and then setting your metadata and clicking create, and you can just keep creating whatever measures you want to create. So that's Quick Measures Pro. So let me next move on to, I'll show you Power Sort. So Power Sort is really set up to kind of ease the issue of, a lot of times when you have date columns, you might have 15 or 20 fields where you need to set sort by columns on. So the idea behind this tool is to automatically find those columns if possible and make the experience a lot easier to set them. So if I go ahead and click on Find Sort by Columns, you can see I have some text up here for pattern matching. Plus I've got the Enterprise DNA date table. There's a standard date table Enterprise DNA subscribers generally use. So I've got that set up here. And what it's done is it's automatically found that, oh, I have a month sort column, and that matches with the month column. So I'll set the sort by to month sort. Same thing with year month. This one is a false positive, so I'll just unset it. And if I scroll down here, you can see that it's found all of these date table columns and figured out what their sort by columns should be. And then all I have to do is hit set sort by columns. Maybe, yep, there, finished. And then in my model over here, if I go to my, once it works on it and configures it, again, updating metadata for columns is technically, here we go. And let's see, where's a good one? Fiscal year, nope, that's not good. What, ISO quarter and year? And then go to my sort by column, and it's set it to ISO quarter and year is the column. So that is Power Sort. And then if I go and show metadata mechanic, it's kind of similar. So this one has tons of features and stuff that you can do with it. But what you can do is you can actually go out and grab all of the metadata for your entire data model. So if I click on that, once it renders here, so you can see here's all the tables in my data model and all of the metadata for them, all of my columns, and then at the bottom are all of my measures as well, which I have just a few that I've created. Oh, I opened this before I created my other measures. Anyway, is that I opened up for this video. I'd have to relaunch it, but that's okay. So what you can do with this then is you can say, let's say I just want to hide all the columns in my fact table, let's say, and my fact table is table. So what I can do is I can set these settings. I can update my metadata, which kind of shows a preview of it. And then let's say I want to make them all hidden. So I update the metadata, they all get set to true, and I set the metadata, and then it's going to go out and hide all of those columns in my data model once it updates. Which it's doing. This is the fun with live demos, right? There we go. And yep, there, all the tables, all of those columns that were in my table are now hidden in the table, and it's actually converted to a measure calculation. So there went and hid all the columns. So that's it. Those are the demos. One of the cool things about the quick measures that I kind of forgot to mention is that you can actually set a custom measure file, and you can actually then create your own custom measures. So you can actually use the new button over here and choose an aggregation, a column, maybe a parameter, click on done. And what it's done here is it's actually, this is kind of the code behind with Quick Measures Pro. It gives you the labels that you can use that get replaced. And then you can then go through and, obviously set the DAX. But if you're in raw mode, you can say create custom. And now I've created a new custom measure definition over here that I can reuse between my data models. So it has that functionality as well. I think that's it with my demos.
So much information, and it's going to save people so much time. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for putting those together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's me and the quick measure gallery. So that was kind of the inspiration. I've always been a fan of the quick measure gallery, and I always thought there could be a lot more done with quick measures in Power BI desktop and really improve the editing and creation experience. So it's really where these tools came from.
Yeah, for sure. It's been interesting, the evolution of quick measures, and how people put together their calculations and their columns as well. It's I love that you can do measures now instead of having to do calculated columns. I mean, it's a great thing. So this tool is going to be fantastic for everyone. Okay, well, thank you so much. And hey, everybody, did you go in and comment on Greg's demo? And I've seen a couple of comments. And by the way, shout out to the Microsoft Power BI YouTube channel for sorting out the display issues, which is everyone set your display to 1080 HD to make sure that your demos, the demos that everyone's showing today, are coming out clearly and not blurry and not blurry. Okay, so we've got some upcoming events today, upcoming events in the future, which is Power BI Dev Camp. Don't forget about that. It's coming up on, I think, on the 31st. Yes, Daniel?
Yep, we'll be doing it this Thursday on the 31st with Ted Pattison. So take a look for that.
Fantastic. And then we also have the March update that came out, I think, last week. So check out the latest Power BI update. Make sure that if you'd like to learn, connect with your local community user group. So you can go to community.powerbi.com and check out the user group section over there. And you can go to aka.ms Power BI UG. That will take you directly there. We also are reminding you that we have other episodes here, our previous episode with some great demos. This episode is being recorded. That's a question that we have on the chat here on the YouTube stream here. So you can have a look at this episode at a later date, either by going to the community or here on the YouTube. Okay, now remember, send us your video. Send us your Power BI video to @ms_Kelly Kaye to be in the running to be chosen for some great giveaways. And we also have an interesting comment here. Somebody mentioned the Power BI Twitter and what's your favorite visual. I'm going to select 5 people who go into the Power BI Twitter account, and it's @MSPowerBI, and let us know what's your favorite visual. And so that means we'll be giving 25 items away this show. So go ahead, check out the visual, send us your demo. Greg, Pragati, any final words? We thank you so much, by the way.
Really enjoyed being here, Kelly and Daniel. It's a great experience and always great to connect with the community.
Thank you. We can't wait to give one of your books away too. So, Pragati.
Mute. Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying. Yeah, I was just saying it was so being, amazing on the show, and especially getting together with Greg again, because I remember last year me and Greg did a Power BI user appearance on the Microsoft, right? So this was really great to come back with him, and thanks Kelly. This was great.
Those were great demos, Pragati. I didn't even know about that automatic legend that gets created. That I was like, where did that come from? I'm like,
that now comes up because that's something someone pointed out in my last demo I gave on Power BI data storytelling, and everyone's was like, oh, these legends now come up by itself, and I was like, yes, that's cool. What we have now. So it's pretty good. You don't have to create those legends again. So
yeah, totally. And Daniel, do you have any final reminders that we may have forgotten here? Our awesome producer, Daniel.
No, I think you covered it all, Kelly. Very thorough. Thank you, Pragati and Greg, for your very helpful demos, and thank you to the community for chiming in. We love seeing you chat in YouTube and letting us know. And as Kelly mentioned, we'll be posting these into the community at a later time, so you can always check it out there as well.
Yep. And thanks to everyone who's been answering questions, to Heather, our community manager, Heather Hernandez, and of course, you, the community. And so that's all we have for you today, and we'll meet you again in the community. Goodbye for now.